Welcome to the Comic Binge. I am your host, Paul Herman. Chris is, I'm a little early today, actually. So I don't think Chris is going to be able to make it today. I'm not sure. I kind of talked to him a little bit about that. But because I have two special guests who are not in my time zone. So I had to accommodate them because I want them on the show. And that's just how it works. So at any rate, I'm super excited to talk about one of my favorite comic stories of all time, which is the Avengers Under Siege. And I'm joined today with Tony Bottle, aka Bottle Rocket. Hello, sir. You're muted.
What's up, Paul? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Like I've been meaning to have you on specifically for a long time, and I'm like, oh yeah, Tony, like you need to get on here, man. And you're like, oh yeah, we do this, And you kept asking like all these big things, like I want to like eventually do down the road. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I'm saving that. But
yeah,
we've talked about this one specifically a while ago, but which we'll get into that in a second. But thank you so much for joining us. I'm super stoked you're here.
You got it.
Excellent. And Del, you're back.
Thanks again for having me on. Big honor. I appreciate it. Appreciate the invite.
Hey, it's an honor for you to be on here, man. Like, I had a blast with you and Adam that one day. I'm gonna have Adam on again soon. The show he was on, I think after yours was we had a blast on that one too. That was great. Yeah, just lots of comics to go into, and I love diving into people who are just want to dive head first into the MCU and don't have as much comic knowledge as opposed to, and just kind of giving different varying opinions of things. So before we dive into it, I'll just really quickly, we'll talk about this trailer that just dropped today, which is the Marvels. And I personally will save all my thoughts for the MCU fan show with Sean Gerber, which is, if you're joining me on that show, thank you very much. I really appreciate your support. So I'm going to give out to the audience here, and I'll know for the person that is probably the most stoked to talk about this, which will be Del. What's your general thoughts on this new Marvels trailer just dropped today?
I must have watched it like 4 or 5 times today. It just looks fun. I mean, throwing Beastie Boys Intergalactic as the backing track doesn't hurt in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, it just looks great. I'm really excited. I mean, one of my issues that I've always had with Captain Marvel is that she's basically Superman, so you have to come up with her power level is so high that sometimes, like, even in Endgame, they had to like put her on the other side of the universe just so that they could tell the story. But this entanglement that she has with Ms. Marvel and Monica Rambeau, it seems like an interesting way to kind of like curb some of from what you can tell from like just the 2-minute trailer, 3-minute trailer, to curb some of those abilities and tell a good story. And obviously, I really enjoyed Ms. Marvel. I watched through that with my wife last summer, and just that was fun. That whole series was fun. It didn't take itself too seriously, but not quite to the level of like She-Hulk not taking itself seriously. But like it was fun, and I'm just really excited. And obviously, Monica Rambeau is one of the really cool aspects of WandaVision. Just her character and the care that she had for Wanda, and she seems like a really like deep character. So, and we get more Nick Fury, so that's cool too.
I'll say this about Monica Rambeau. I really liked her in WandaVision a lot, and I was really impressed with that character and where they went with her. I thought that was really cool. So yeah, that I honestly can't wait to get into the trailer with Sean and when we record. I'm assuming we're gonna record this week. Whenever we get a new trailer, we make a priority to record. So excuse me. I'm excited to talk about all this at some point and deep dive into it. But it sounds like you really like the trailer.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I'm a sucker for everything MCU. Like, I like it all. But this one falls under that category. Like it all. Yeah. But it looks fun. It looks like it's not going to be like any kind of headcanon or anything. I've got to convince myself.
Right.
Into.
Right.
Looks like it's gonna be fun.
Okay. So let's get to Tony here. I'm curious because Tony, set yourself up for this one before you give in. What's your take?
So I was telling you offline, I haven't watched any of the shows since Moon Knight, which I didn't even finish. And for some reason, it's just kind of losing me a little bit. and I don't know. I mean, the trailer looks cool, but I don't know who Miss Marvel. I didn't watch Miss Marvel, so I don't know much about her. Monica Rambeau
I can't
is.
believe you didn't watch Miss Marvel.
I didn't watch She-Hulk. I haven't seen the latest Doctor Strange. I just kind of lost.
God, Doctor Strange is so good.
I know. I lost
Killing me.
everything after Endgame. I was telling Dell. I don't know how long is Nick Fury? Is Samuel Jackson going to do this? Like, I'm just curious. Like, is he just going to be in everything?
It's so I'm not. Yeah, so it's so funny. I actually had talked about this on the last episode of MCU Fan Show.
Yeah.
I even said, like, how long? Because, you know, I remember hearing and reading that they were doing the Secret Invasion and everything. And then I remember when Glass came out, or not Glass, when Glass came out, and he was being interviewed, he referenced being like in his 70s about something and whatever. And I was like, and that was like 4 years ago, right? I'm like, holy crap!
Yeah.
Like, I think he's he's like in mid 70s now. He looks phenomenal.
He does.
I mean, he looks incredible. I mean, you would have to, and I was thinking like, who will be the next Nick Fury afterwards? Because he's getting up there at some point. I mean, like, I don't know.
Do they need him? I don't know. I mean, that's the question.
I mean, yes and no. If that makes any sense. Like, I think they do to an extent, but I do feel like they have to eventually hand off at some point to some other unifying person.
I don't know. You have to come up with another.
Recast.
No, you come up with another major character in the universe. So that was my one takeaway from it was, and Monica Rambeau. This is the same Miss Marvel that we are actually going to talk about tonight, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Right. Fantastic segue.
What a segue.
Fantastic. What a segue. Oh my God. You get me a softball. This is fantastic. Unrehearsed, everyone. This is live television. Sorry, my daughter's like dragging the table, and it's like, I'm not sure you guys can hear that, but it's like so loud, like almost distracting me. So today we're gonna be talking about one of my favorite maybe my favorite Avengers story ever. That's just a pure Avengers story, not like a tie-in, nothing like that. Pure Avengers, and that is the Under Siege story, where we have the Masters of Evil coming back to basically get revenge on Captain America and the Avengers. Now, because I'm curious. I know you've read this, Tony. I think you said before. Dell, I don't think you've read it before. I'm very curious where everyone kind of intersects as far as how good this is for people, because I think this is a story that anyone at any kind of fan level of Avengers could read and enjoy, in my opinion, because it's got a really diverse cast, and it's also got, as far as like characters that you have, but also the villains are so interesting, and really does do a good job, I think, in my opinion, of introducing you to so many different characters in the MC or in Marvel universe that you maybe not are familiar with. And I just love Baron Zemo. He's one of my favorite villains in Marvel, period, whether it be MCU or 616. I just love the story because it's all about, the Zemo and the Masters of Evil. So, Tony, man, you've read this before. So what's your take on you read this? Did you like it then? Are you reading it now, or after reading it now, is it better, worse, indifferent? Like, what's your take on this story here?
It still holds up. I mean, I looked at the date. I just had to double check. It was, that's the iconic cover. That was the best when they did all those covers. I was 12, so I was literally reading these right off the shelf, and it stuck with me just because of the fact that that one beating scene, which I'm sure we'll get to in a second, but that I just remember them beating up on Jarvis. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. This is terrible. As a 12-year-old, I'm watching this, and they're like, there's that one shot of them punching him, and it's just like, that was it. I thought he was dead. I thought he was done, and that's kind of stuck with me as a 12-year-old. Like, wow, this is pretty badass.
Yeah, it is rough, dude. It was dark. Like, it
stuck with me. Yep.
Yeah. Jarvis was, if I'm being real here, he was the one that I kind of forgot. I knew that bad things happened to him, but in retrospect, reading it again, I was like, this is kind of dark.
Yes.
like this is
Yes.
not like, oh yeah, okay, he got hurt, he got punched around, like because Zemo like at one point slaps him,
Yeah.
but then like, and then at one point like Hyde just goes in and starts wailing on him, and I'm just like,
So-
oh god.
That when I reread it, I saw when the slap happened, I'm like, I remember him getting beat up way more than that. And
Yeah,
I'm like, maybe because I was little and it was a big deal. And then you get to the next episode, next issue, and they just beat him. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's one of the
Yeah.
shots there.
yeah, it's
And
brutal. man.
Captain America being helpless.
Yeah, it's brutal. And so I was blown away when I reread this again. I was like, oh, I forgot like how gnarly this is, man. Like, and that's the kind of thing I think that when you look at back in the day, comics could get dark without getting like ridiculously over the top. You know what I mean? And that to me, I thought was a strength of the series. We'll be getting that more later. But you liked it. You was coming out then. And now reading it now, you're like, it held up. Was it better? What's your take?
It holds up. It holds up. I wrote a few things down, but we can get to that. Like
Sure.
things that you notice as you get older. You know what I mean?
You're
yeah.
yeah.
What the heck, really?
Yeah,
like Hercules
exactly.
in a hospital. And like some of the comments from the doctors, I'm just like, oh my god, this is hilarious.
There's some interesting things in the story. So Del, you're a big MCU guy. I know you're just now getting into the world of comics. I know I think I'm righteously giving down that path. At least I think so. At least I hope I'm doing the right thing. And I've had you read comics before and you've enjoyed them. Mm-hmm. So from what I can tell, I'm curious as your mindset from the MCU in reading these comics that I love. What these are all from the 80s now. These are not like from like the even the 90s to like 2000s. This is from the late 80s. And it's dated to an extent as far as the time placement, and I think like some of like just to kind of throw it out there, and this is not a detriment I think to the storytelling of the panels, but like the layouts are very basic. This is not breaking anyone's minds as far as like story structure and things like that, but as far as like the way it's presented, but it's efficient, and that's why I love comics. It's very efficient storytelling. For someone who's not as familiar with the comics in general, what was your take of like going into it and reading it and just your general thoughts of it right now after reading it?
Yeah, well, it's definitely not like the Kang homework you gave me a couple months ago, where it was like doing these like acrobatic like across these panels and pages.
Right. Sure they were great too. They were great. Yeah.
Yeah, and shout out to Marvel Unlimited. They do a really good job of like holding your hand through like what you're supposed to progress through. But so you're right though. I just started like really, I guess, getting back into it. Like I was really into it like at this time frame. At that time, I didn't read Avengers back then. I was more into like G.I. Joe and the Eastman Laird Ninja Turtle comics and
hell yeah, dude,
and stuff. But,
okay.
But during COVID, like 2020, I started going through the Marvel Unlimited app and reading through the original Avengers and Stan Lee and all that. And it's amazing how like you fast forward 20 years and this is just like reading those same comics. It's like when you look at how far comics have come from like 1987 when this one came out to where we are now, it's like almost like a different medium. And when you look at like where this one is and like the comics of the 60s, like it's like nothing moved. like nothing really changed. All of the exposition and the dialogue and I'll throw my hammer and I know it'll do this and it comes back. Like they're explaining everything as they do it.
So much.
I enjoy it though. Like it's almost like, I don't want to say corny because that's not fair, but I enjoy it. But this story, for what it's worth, yes, I really did enjoy the story. I like seeing all the different characters. As somebody who's really MCU centric in a lot of what my reading has been. Like the movies have been what have driven me towards these different comics over the past couple of years. Like to have this come in out of left field when you suggested it, I really enjoyed it. Like all these different bad guys and. It was cool. I even seeing like Dr. Druid and
like
that was kind of
Dr. Druid.
He seemed like a bit of a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Like not MacGuffin, like a plot device almost in this, but
Yeah.
it was all
No,
right.
you're right. No, you're right. No, absolutely.
Where is he from? I don't remember this guy at all. Like,
so he's definitely part of the obviously the magician of that whole thing. I'm actually very unfamiliar. I only know him through this Avengers run, and obviously Stern kind of like introduced him in a previous plot point because he wasn't an Avenger before. I remember that, and that was, as we read, he's not an Avenger from this. But then
he's just randomly there, like, oh, I need to help these guys.
Well, he says he owes them a favor, like but then he eventually joins. He becomes a part of that team after. This is his introduction to the team, essentially.
Oh, okay.
So, because I remember he's a big prominent member of the '80s. Oh, so I was like, okay, well, yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, he must have been a plot device for Stern planted that earlier to then bring out later on to help them defeat the characters. I don't know much, Andrew, I'm telling you, this is a fantastic, fun story. You will not regret it. If you like to have fun, it's a really fun book. We'll get more details. And for those who are watching, appreciate it. Hit the like button. I again appreciate your support. We don't spoil these books. We try our best to be as spoiler less as possible. It's going to happen here or there, but we're not going to give away the ending. But but again, just go read the books. They're fun. Avengers 277 or 273 to 277. So Del, when you read this, I didn't know you actually read other comics back in the day, but not Marvel. It looks like I misunderstood. I apologize.
No, it's fine. I did read Marvel, but it was like I said, G.I. Joe and like Transformers and G.I. Joe and Transformers and
that was my jam too, to be honest.
Dude, that was a lot of kids' jams. Yeah. Those were really big. Those were really big series that that really carried Marvel for those franchises. I mean, Star Wars a long time. Star Wars is the reason you have G.I. Joe and Transformers, because with those specific brandings and marketing, or franchises, the branding they were licensing. That's what word I was looking for, licensing. It really carried Marvel through the 80s and 70s because the other titles were kind of hit and miss. X-Men was obviously a huge seller, but that kept them afloat was getting those Transformers, G.I. Joes, and Larry Hamas and all that stuff. They were doing great, So, yeah, no judgment here. But the fact you're a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, I'll be in touch. We'll talk. Del.
It's been a while. I haven't kept up. But
even better. We did it. By the way, we did do a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode, comic book masterpiece, a couple last year. So if you're a Turtles fan, we have dabbled a little bit in Turtles. So anyway, back to the Avengers. So reading this as an MCU fan, really quick before we dive more in the story, would you think this story is something MCU worthy, especially with Baron Zemo's kind of current kind of thing right now?
Yeah, especially the dark aspect, like the drama and of it all. I think that it could be something along those lines. Yeah, no, I liked it. I mean, it was almost like I don't know if it's fair to say it's like Zemo Endgame or something like that, but just the epic battle where he's calling in everybody to get back at Captain America. It seemed like a little bit of an inversion there. But no, I enjoyed it. It'd be interesting to see how they translate it into the modern MCU if they decided to, just because, with Cap, not in there. And I guess.
Well, it's different. Cap.
Zemo has, the MCU Zemo has a relationship with a Cap. With Sam Wilson. So,
and he's kind of, and Bucky too. Don't forget Bucky. So I think there's, I'll go into more of my MCU stuff for the end of the episode for all you MCU people. So if you're in the chat right now, again, appreciate it. If you're not in the chat, you can watch the video later. Comment, let me know. Is this a story you think the MCU should do before we break it down? I personally think I'll save all my thoughts for later because I just want to do that. So going into it, this story starts off with Baron Zemo basically assembling the Masters of Evil, which if you were gonna do that for the MCU now, you wouldn't call them the Masters of Evil. You probably just call them the Masters, I'm imagining. So, but hey, you know what?
Name.
But you know what? If they did go with Masters of Evil as a joke, kind of like, we're like the Masters of Evil. I could see that maybe, but no, like it's really interesting because these are all new like kind of versions of his characters and whatnot. And I gotta tell you, I love this team so much because, for one thing, I'm a huge Wrecking Crew fan. I love the Wrecking Crew. Love the Wrecking Crew. So the fact you get them like as a big like the muscle of the group is a big deal for me. I freaking love them. I guess for me that's that. Besides Zemo, it's the Wrecking Crew. What's I guess for me or for you guys, what was your besides Zemo? Was there a villain that you really liked from this at all? Like for this story?
I don't remember Hyde being so like formidable. You know what I mean? Like, I don't remember him. I don't remember him being so strong and like just it's weird. And he was really the strongest guy on the team. I mean, in those issues.
Well, and I'm thinking, I viewed it as Tony like he was almost unhinged. That's what made him deadly. I think he was strong, but the fact that he just could go you just didn't know off the rails. You had to kind of be more on your guard. And because he's so like out of nowhere, the blue and just kind of anything goes, that makes him almost more formidable because you don't know what he's going to do. He's unpredictable. Whereas like you can kind of like know like the moves of so and so and so and so. It takes literally the strongest Avenger to take out Hyde accidentally. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, like Hyde was, in my experience, which is interesting for those who don't know, the Hyde character, he's kind of a Daredevil villain, basically. Like I would say, like that's kind of what he's known for. But what's interesting about Hyde is that he actually has been used by Stern, which is the writer Roger Stern, on like an Avengers or excuse me, for a Spider-Man. Which is Rogers. We'll get in the writer and the artist here in a second, but yeah, Roger Stern loves Hyde because he's used them like all over the place. And there is, I do like the character. Like he's a really interesting character because he's that whole playoff. Like obviously the classic character of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Yeah. Is there a Jekyll side to him? Like what's the deal?
No, I think that's why he's just called Mr. Hyde.
Hyde, okay.
He's just Hyde.
Oh, Hyde
and yeah, look at it. Yeah, look at this guy. Like he's just beating the crap out of the Black Knight. And like,
look at his faces. He's out of control. He's a menace.
Yeah, he is a menace for sure.
Black Knight.
So, good.
He doesn't really show up in the. He's like Hawkeye, and which Avengers was that? Hawkeye gets kind of taken out right at the beginning.
Avengers. Is it? Well, he gets mind controlled. The first one. Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
Look, for real though, Black Knight's like I've always had a soft spot for Black Knight. I know you do too, Tony. Like I know you like.
I love Black Knight always. Yeah.
Yeah, Dane is just he's an I'm kind of bummed because he hasn't shown up at all in any other movies since the Eternals. But the Black Knight's a legit character.
I did not see the Eternals. He's in the Eternals.
Where have you been? Where have you been,
I think
sir?
I was in that zone where they took over the mansion. I think I was in that dark zone.
You're in blackout.
I didn't
zone,
know Black Knight was in it.
Wow.
Sort of.
Yeah, he's in it. He's in it. He's in it.
Yeah.
He dies at the beginning.
The end credit scene, Del, and the end credit scene is perfect, right?
I'm gonna watch it. Right? I'm gonna watch it. It's on the list.
Eternals is not as
hated Eternals.
It's not perfect.
You hated it?
No, it's not.
I know, Paul. I'm sorry. I know you're an apologist. I get it. It's okay.
I didn't like it at first either, though. It took me that second viewing. Yeah. It's. I don't want to get too bad in an Eternals rant here. Eternals is not the best movie, but it swings for the fences. It misses a little bit, but I think it gets a ground rule double in the end.
You're selling it. I can't wait to rip into it tomorrow.
Oh God, it's Dane. Dane Whitman. I love me some Black Knight. He's not a main character, but
his uniform, the whole sword thing, like he was just awesome in the '80s. Growing up, he was the best.
Yeah, what's interesting is he kind of stuck around the Avengers for a long time. Like he was in the Avengers for like, I want to say like for 10 years after this, or at least off and on, because he was in the '90s version forever. So So basically Zemo comes in, and one of the things I love about Zemo, and this is where I think that I don't know if they borrowed directly from the MCU borrowed from this characterization of Zemo specifically, but this Zemo is smart, right? Like this guy, he ain't dumb. And I really like that about the character, that he's very, very, very smart. And he's not someone who's just going to be outsmarted. And he strategically takes out each of the Avengers individually in different ways. And I love that about this character and this version. And he uses all the Masters of Evil to basically neutralize each individual Avenger. And that's why you have this really ragtag version of the Masters of Evil, because it's to use a term or some things for you guys will all love, and me included, is football terms of they have matchup problems for each individual character, right? Like they may not be the best team or the best villain or the most powerful villain, but they match up well against certain heroes and vice versa, right? So like Blackout may not match up well against like a Thor or a Hercules, but against Captain Marvel, you know what I'm saying? Like it neutralizes different things. Yeah. So there's really cool things with that Zemo plays into all of this. And I love that aspect of the story. You just see it play out in all the issues that, you know, that he's in, and that you kind of get to see all the plans kind of unravel, or not unravel, but kind of come into play. And I love that about the story, because to me, the MCU version of Baron Zemo, that's what this Zemo would do, in my opinion. And Del, I'm going to throw it to you. Would you kind of agree with that kind of mindset?
Yeah. This storyline, it feels like he must have spent years planning this attack. You know, the fact you talk about the matchup problems, like he didn't just throw that plan together on Monday after Sunday's game, and he had to have a plan for this game Sunday. Like this is something he spent a lot of time putting together, and then you match that with, like, say, you know, Winter Soldier and how Zemo's portrayed there, and this is somebody who's put a lot of time and effort and has a personal vendetta against the good guys in terms of why he's trying to carry this out. You know, in the movies it's Sokovia, in this comic it's because of, you know, his father and everything. So yeah, I think it actually, this version of Zemo matches up pretty well, like you said before, pretty well with the MCU Zemo.
Yeah, and so with all this, like, he neutralizes everyone individually, and you know, I really love to see that. And Tony, I'm not sure did you read it monthly when it came out, or did you read it like kind of all at once, like on a trade? Like, how did you consume this?
Jeez, I think I read it monthly. Yeah, so, I did. I don't remember though.
You don't remember, but as a kid, do you remember like liking? Was it different reading it month to month? If you remember at all, like when opposed to reading it all at once?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of, as a kid, you got to like go back and remember what happened. It's like, oh wait, I got to go back and see how the last one ended.
Right.
But yeah, I remember picking this up at the 7-Eleven. And
oh hell yeah,
diving right into
7-Eleven spinner rack, dude. Oh, yeah. You're giving me like some good vibes here. Love it. Yeah,
I got yelled at by the lady at 7-Eleven, and she told me it wasn't a library.
Oh man,
you actually got the library comment.
This isn't a library. Come on, you got to get out of here.
Wow, that's crazy. So when you read this, how does like when he neutralizes all the characters, Tony, how, like, did you love that part of it? Like, what is there anything in particular in his neutralization of the characters that you liked, that you kind of thought was interesting?
Well, setting up Hercules, I thought was interesting. Yes. Getting him out of the way.
Agreed.
That was pretty cool. That
was okay. The Hercules thing was really interesting to me because I think I have a picture of it here somewhere. God, he's getting his A wrong here.
Oh man, he gets crushed too at the beginning.
Yeah,
and they just jump him. That's a great shot when they're just whap crunk, like just.
Yeah, exactly. So when I thought I saved the panel, I'll have to find it because Del, you You sent us that picture. I thought was perfect. Of him breaking the table, which I know, knowing your history of the Bills Mafia.
Oh, that was the reference.
That was
yeah.
I missed the reference.
He's breaking a table
Bills,
like
and
2 pages in. I'm like, is this why I'm invited into this?
No. I totally didn't know that.
I looked at that forever, trying to figure out like, was there a Bill named somebody named Bill? And then I sent you the Patriot back, and I didn't get any love on that comment. But
I was a little confused.
I figured it would work itself out tonight. I figured it would.
Now it all makes sense. No, but like that, like the Hercules thing was interesting because I love that he's there, and like they're poking and prodding this like just idiot guy, you know, and he's like, oh, like I love that about Hercules. He's just kind of a jerk. Like he's like Thor, but a jerk. Like Thor was a jerk before he like got humbled by Odin, but he wasn't like he's that times 10, right? Yeah. Like that's the way I interpret Hercules. Am I wrong on that assessment?
No, you're right. I always liked him growing up. I love
Hercules too.
I want him to fight Thor. I always thought that would be a great fight. I think they must have fought at one point.
Oh, they fought a lot. They fought
remember.
A lot.
Yeah.
No, they totally did. No, there's actually an issue in the 90s where the new Thor, who becomes Thunderstrike, he fights Hercules as Thor, and it's a great fight. It's a great fight. Like it's super fun. Go find that on Marvel Unlimited. It's fantastic.
For sure.
But yeah, Hercules was an interesting way how they poke and prod him and they just get him wasted.
Yeah,
right?
That was the best.
Yeah, that's how you defeat Hercules right there, is just get them wasted. Just get them all liquored up and just go for gold, right? So they get him wasted, and then he goes, oh, I'm going to help my teammates for being ambushed, blah, 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 blah. And then we get obviously the crack whack, and just I'm trying to find the panel here, the page, where they just go to town on him, where he just is, he's neutralized.
And they put him in the hospital.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm curious, Del, what's your take on and this is maybe a good segue to talk about the whole team of Avengers of it. What's your take on Hercules? Were you familiar with the character at all? I know they introduced him in Love and Thunder for a split second, but what's your level of knowledge and liking of Hercules?
I've not read any comics with it. He's been in it. I've read up on his Wikipedia pages, his Marvel Unlimited.
Don't do that. Read the comics, sir. Come on.
I know. Well, I'm working on it, right? But
all right, fair enough.
I did like because when Brett Goldstein showed up at the end of Love and Thunder, I was like, it's Roy Kent. Oh my gosh, I love this character already. Who is he? And so
that's fair.
So like I said, I started reading up on him and everything. He looks like somebody pulled him out of Masters of the Universe and said, let's put him in.
Yes.
Marvel.
Yeah.
And that's why he's awesome.
Yeah, he's look, even at this panel you're showing us right here.
Yeah.
Go Bills, but he's just like he looks just like he's drawn just like a He-Man figure. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
his outfit and everything.
He really is a He-Man figure, and maybe honestly because this costume doesn't really change for like a long time. I mean, really, it's pretty standard. I mean, it's like I think he has like he starts off with like a golden like sash thing that like goes across. It's basically whatever the costume in Love and Thunder is. That's what he has. But this is a little,
it's so cool looking at it.
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, it's super good. Which, by the way, the table thing was hilarious. I think it's hilarious. So what in this time frame, this is a very interesting lineup of Avengers, in my opinion. I love this lineup a lot. It's so unique. You've got Captain Marvel, the Monica Rambeau character. You have Black Knight, you have Namor, all major modern players in the MCU right now. Hercules, you have Thor, Captain America. I mean, like, guys, I'm giving you basically the lineup that they could go with right now in some form or another. So, besides Dr. Druid, what's your take on the lineup? I'm curious, like, Tony, you like the MCU. You're not up to date with it completely, but what's your take on this lineup?
Was Thor part of this lineup, or was he called in as a reserve at this point?
He kind of shows up very anticlimactically, by the way, I might add, which I was a little disappointed in reading this again. Because this cover, like when you see this, I'm like, I think like I forgot that his entrance is like, I'm gonna come in, hi. And it's like he's the back of his back. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What is
Bearded
this?
Thor was the best. I remember that
Word.
specifically. Bearded Thor with that uniform was great. Like, I don't know what it was about that uniform that he came in. I was like,
Simonson.
oh
That's
man, this
why.
is great. Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah,
that
Simonson.
was a lot of memories for that Thor.
That Thor run is legendary. If y'all haven't read Thor comics, go read Walt Simonson's run. It's chef's kiss. So good.
When does
So
that
good.
start? What year do you know, or what?
Uh,
Had to be before.
I think he started 83 is when that.
Okay.
But he was on it for like 7-8 years, or it was a
Yep.
good long time. He was on it for a
Nice.
good long time and introduced Beta Ray Bill, the
Yeah,
bearded
that was
Thor,
my.
all that. That's
Yep.
all from Simonson. Super
Beta
good
Ray
stuff.
Bill was the homie.
So
Yeah.
I love Beta Ray Bill. So the lineup, yeah. So lineup. What's your take on the lineup here?
I think it's okay, but can you pull that card up and look at it again?
Yeah. Hold on.
I was
All
always
right, here
an
we go.
Iron Man fan, but it's I don't know how long he stayed in the Avengers. I love Namor.
Yes, love Namor. Oh my god, love. Well, he jumps off the team at this point. So the team, like, he goes off literally right before this issue, and I'd actually recommend this whole run of like Roger Stern, John Buscema, Tom Palmer. This whole run is fantastic, and there's actually great Kane comics which I've read recently
Yeah,
that are
they're
all
in and
part
out
of
of
it as
Kang.
well. Yeah, In and Out of Kang has a good, cool 3-issue little arc there goes on. Namor has an arc. He bails after this, right before this, but I think he does. He shows up afterwards, but yeah, like this lineup is killer in my opinion. I think Dr. Druid's an interesting character. Like, to me, this plays off of the best versions of Avengers while also keeping it interesting by having like different characters in it, right? So that's how I take it. Now, Dell, as an MCU person, there's not a lot of MCU here except for modern MCU. So I'm curious what your thoughts on the lineup was.
It was good. I didn't have a lot of context to go off of, you know what I mean, in terms of, like you said, how Black Knight was in the Avengers for 10 years. But it was kind of, it seems like a really, like, eclectic group almost. Like, you have Wasp, who's like an original Avenger. They bring in Ant-Man, but not Hank Pym at one point to help
Scott
out.
Lang,
yeah. And but don't call him Scott Lang. Just call him Ant-Man. He wants to. He's like the,
which I like that.
Marvel
I like
character.
that. Yeah,
the one Marvel character is trying to hide his identity. It feels like. But
come on, guys.
Bear with me. I'm just Ant-Man. Just call me Ant-Man.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But it was good. I mean, obviously, you know, Steve's involved, and you know, he's the reason for this whole attack on the mansion and everything. It was good. I mean, I'd want to read more about it. You know, some of the stuff that I read about Black Knight was in the 60s, and that was like he was coming in from like another dimension or another time or something like that. And it was just causing trouble. So
it's Black Knight's complicated. We'll just say that.
It is.
It's complicated. It's like, you know, if you watch Tony, when you watch the Eternals, there's they kind of touch on that a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit. It's funny. It's cool. It's cool. But I love this lineup because it is so unique and it is eclectic, and I think it is. I love they have like the strong main characters, but you also have like the Namor is a really interesting take. Like, he's not on this lineup in these issues, but Scott Lang shows up. I mean, Ant-Man and Wasp. Really, I thought like the problem with Avengers is when people think like they have to have like a giant team. I hate that. I love team books for superheroes that like have like 5 to 7. 8's too much. I feel like 5 to 8 is like the 8's like, or at least the end of it. But have it vary in different people, and give me some heavy hitters, but give me some unknowns, kind of intermingle them a little bit. And that's what I think they do here really well. Is that this is a very well-known, but you don't have an Iron Man, but you have Captain America. You've got Black Knight, who's kind of a little bit established. You have Namor, kind of always been around. Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel, has been kind of lingering around a little bit. I love the different. Hercules has been around forever. Love this lineup here. So I don't know. I love all this. You know, Tony, I know you had some notes you wanted to bring up. Anything we want to touch on before I move on about the creative teams and things like that?
Let me think. Let me look at one more. Oh, the Hank Pym comment. It's weird to see Scott Lang as like you're looking at this Ant-Man character and you're thinking
Right.
Scott Lang is the quick-witted, what's his name, the
Yeah,
actor?
the Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd.
He's
I
like
mean, that's the same
laughing him up.
character, right?
Same character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's not that quick-witted in this show. He's like real straight and narrow, like by the book type of like
Yep.
character. It's so interesting to see that change in the MCU.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that, and he's more of a jokester, not I say jokester, but he's more comic relief now because of the movie, you know.
Yeah.
Which is it's not a problem. I'm not
like it.
anti that. Yeah, I like it. But at the same time, it is interesting to see that that contrast of like having this funny guy, and then you have oh yeah, by the way, he's like actually super serious and whatever, and like you're also dancing around like ex-husband, which if you guys know all about that, it's like it's like
he's like, oh sorry, dark. Every time I look at you I think of my ex-husband or whatever. He's like, sorry, it's just me, Ant-Man.
It's just me, Scott Lang.
Yeah,
Ant-Man.
Scott Lang. Yeah, so that was the last. That was the thing that struck me funny. Also, what is wrong with Black? Is it Blackout? What's his name?
Blackout. Yeah.
Blackout. What's his story? He wasn't all there. Like he's not.
Yeah. So Blackout.
What can you shed on him? Is he concussed? So he's wrong with him?
To be honest, I thought they did a good job of setting that up with Baron Zemo and like basically like how he's this character that kind of was established. He kind of realms in this dark dimension, like, which I thought was cool because the Shroud character that shows up eventually, how Monica gets out. That's all kind of intermingled. I thought it was connected. I know the Shroud kind of was lingering around the West Coast Avengers for a minute because he was dating Spider-Woman, I think, at one point. So the Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman, who then turns into Madame Web. I digress. But the character, like, because I don't know much about that character. He's not been in very much. No. To be honest.
Great outfit, great costume, by the way. Love it.
I love it. He's like, a broke ass Electro. I mean, I get it.
It's like, so cool. I like the colors too.
Yeah, I like the colors. It's cool. It's very, very Black Adam, you could say. Yeah, but like I love it when like these writers like Roger Stern, they can take a character like him, like Blackout, and make him interesting and do something with him, because he's a kind of a stupid character, right?
Yeah.
But like Baron Zemo is like he's a BA dude. Like him and Moonstone, they turn him into like a formidable person that neutralizes freaking Captain Marvel, who's the most powerful member on the team.
Right.
And I that to me is a genius of, I think, both the writing of the story, is the fact that Roger Stern he's such an underrated legend, because he knows and understands what makes comics and like, especially more Marvel comics, so much fun, and really utilizes all the tools that you have to your advantage, and actually utilizes continuity to your advantage. And that's one thing that I think that like any kind of writer of like any kind of modern like branding or a franchise like a Star Wars, Star Trek, or modern MCU or DCU, whatever, is that you don't like, it's because something doesn't work in a movie doesn't mean you have to like just forget it and just it doesn't work and ignore it. Use it to your advantage. And that's the one thing that Roger Stern, like Blackout and all these other characters, he does a great job of doing, because these, like, you're not afraid of the stupidity of these characters. No. You embrace what makes these characters interesting, and you can utilize that to your advantage. And I think that's what I think Roger Stern and I think Marvel Comics and a lot of these writers from the 80s have done so well, was they took so many stupid characters that you see on this page and actually make them really, like Tiger Shark.
That's the dumbest team that you could ever assemble.
I mean, right. That's Wrecking Crew. They're just amazing. So, whatever.
Yeah.
But no, like you make them interesting, but don't play them up to like on the nose where like you're trying to make them cool. You just utilize it. And now like Blackout's an interesting character. He's insane. And now like you established that he's a kind of formidable opponent now. So I'm not sure what happens to him later on. I read a lot of Marvel comics. I don't know everything. But but I mean, now another writer can now utilize that for his or her own gain later on, and you just by simply this one story, and that's what the Conways, the Wolfmans, the Thomases, the later on to the Roger Sterns and the Claremonts, they took what these writers did before, made it their own, modified things, didn't like piss on what came on before, but embraced it. Maybe retcon things here or there a little bit, but embraced it, moved it forward, and that's what these writers need to do for me anyway to make it these stories good, and that's what Roger Stern does here. So, any comments on that comment, you guys? Any comments on Blackout or anything?
I thought you were going to tell me he was in the Eternals too.
He's not freaking A, man. He's not in the Eternals. Believe it or not, he's not in the Eternals.
And that's a great shot of Hercules running out of the bar.
I love this.
It's so
this
great.
Is so good.
I remember that from my childhood, and then taking on that truck is so cool.
Dude, it's a great and I'm curious, like, you know, from a writing standpoint for Roger Stern, any like do you guys like the writing? Because even like as dated as it is, I actually think it holds up pretty well from a story standpoint and a dialogue standpoint. Maybe I'm biased because Roger Stern's a legend in my opinion, but I thought it held up pretty well. Any comments on that?
I thought it was great, especially towards the end when Steve is talking about the stuff that he's lost. And,
Word, oh my god,
he's able to just like I was able to like keep it at bay when it was happening, but now like I thought it was like actually really touching in a lot of ways, just like that human element, and how Monica is like, hey, that stuff's important, it was really for me, I thought it did a really good job of like. Because through all the chaos that's going on through these 4 or 5 issues or whatever it was, like there's a reason behind all of it. It's because Zemo wants to break Captain America, and just the way that it all kind of resolves at the end. I thought that was good storytelling there. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. No, there was. Yeah, I was kind of. That's probably the one thing I would say that kind of surprised me about this was that specific shot of them talking and Monica being like, have a consult Cap. That was kind of rough. Like, I'll be honest, like that was hard for me to kind of see and like, and see him kind of in that last issue here that, her kind of console him a little bit. Like that was, I kind of forgot about that. And it was really cool to see Steve. And again, I don't want to spoil it because I've looked back. What Zemo does is brutal, and you kind of see it initially in the comic books, but what he reveals at the end, I was like, oh damn, like that's kind of rough. Like I was like, okay, like that's like Zemo went for the heart, man. Zemo went for the heart, and he won. He did. He got a little bit of his little bit of revenge. So that was kind of rough. I mean, like. There was like the scars of like being violated from your home aspect that Zemo did here. You're violated. You literally like borderline like just destroyed this person's life. Like Jarvis got mutilated. I mean, it's crazy. I highly recommend this series. I'm not sure if you're joking or if you're being serious. I mean, I don't know. I'm being serious. I don't mean any disrespect. I don't know. Like I love these comics to death. I think they're fantastic. But yeah, like no, I definitely was a lot more emotional going into it than I was anticipating. Great point on that. Yeah, as we're wrapping up here, we're kind of approaching the end. Any kind of final thoughts about the story? Anything you wanted to kind of point out that we hadn't yet before we kind of wrap it up here? We head that way. Anything?
Go ahead.
I was just saying. I mean, I don't know if this is an MCU special presentation or a short little series or whatever, but I would love to see this. Obviously, a lot of the characters changed, a lot of the aspects and angles probably get switched around a little bit, but I just really love the idea of Zemo coming for Captain America, and I think that would be great. And I'm just also, like, as a side note, I'm just so excited for Sam Wilson's Captain America. We've gotten about like one episode of it so far, and like it was the best episode out of that whole series. I have opinions on that series.
I love that series to death. I love it to death. But I see your point. I mean,
It struggled through stuff that was outside of its control with COVID and everything.
Fair enough. That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. No, and Andrew, I didn't know because I was saying how much I love the series. So yeah, I think we all would agree. We'd recommend, and I'll put it in the comments here. Avengers 277 Volume 1, pretty easy to find. 273 to 277. I need to do a better job of this, by the way. So, like I recommend totally this series. This is, to me, I think this is probably the best Avengers story that's not like a all-timer like Kree Skrull War or one of those stories. To me, this is the epitome of like best Avengers comics you can read. And my brother here is this oh man, it was heavy. Exactly. You're right, it was 100% heavy. And because I remember thinking, Rick, I don't know if you remember this. Rick is the behind Immaculate Comics here. We were talking about before. Hyde just, and I'll bring up the page here if I can find it. I have a lot of pages, so I have to find it here specifically. I'll find it. Of Hyde just beating the royal crap. By the way, look at this too. Of Zemo kicking Cap, dude.
That's a big one.
Just mutilating him.
I think the sheer violence of seeing our heroes just get beat on for three issues.
Three issues, yeah. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm trying to find the where Jarvis starts getting beat. Yeah, this is the page. Oh my God, this is it. Like this is the one that you were referencing earlier, Del. Like this page is rough, just rough.
Yeah, watching Cap cry, man. That's
dude, it legitimately can understand why he's crying. Jesus. Like not like, oh, you hurt my friend. Like no. Like you hurt, like you pretty much beat to death our butler. No. Like why he's crying. Like it's like
that's rough. Mom and it's crazy.
Yeah, dude, that's rough. That was rough.
Is there anything more like metallic than Avengers Mansion? If you look at the walls, that's one thing I picked up. I don't know why, but they have metal everywhere. I mean, look at the walls. Like, what's going on? What are they doing?
Well, place? That's pretty standard. Like that's pretty like right.
Like, I mean, how many buttons do you need in a mansion? Like
hey,
when they talked about cracking the computer code, I'm like, what is it? Just like a Commodore 64? Like this is 1987. Like what do you deal with? Like
what HTML code do they need here? I mean.
Is it Whopper from like War Games or something? I don't know.
Oh man,
just go with it, guys. Come on,
that's us being dads, like looking like, what's the electrical bill in this place?
What's it cost to run this place?
Why are you doing this to me, Tony? Like you're like, why do they need all these buttons? It's just fancy, I get it. You're
Cap's
not
walking around like, do I have to turn off every light in this place?
Yeah. He's like this.
Leave a room.
Yeah. Like, which one shuts these lights off?
Yeah, it was just one button. No. Seriously, though, Andrew, like go. It's a fun read. It's not like it's gonna take you a long time. You can sit down. I mean, I'll read comics. It can be done in like I say half hour. And again, the beauty of comic book reading is that you can get a good, really wholehearted meal in a short amount of time. And that's the one thing that I love about this medium so much is like this story is only 6 issues long. But it feels like you get a lot. You get a lot. Your emotions go like this. You get a lot of storytelling compacted into it, and it's concise. And one of the things I'll say before I talk about the MCU references or kind of what I think the MCU should do is, this is the breakdowns are by John Buscema and finishes by Tom Palmer. One absolute legend icon. John Buscema is legendary. Tom Palmer is probably an unappreciated legend. Dude is an amazing inker. These are all 100% his inks, and they're fantastic. And I talked about it before. The concise storytelling in this is like it's pure, just 6 panels, right? Like it's like very basic layout, just very basic. I love it, and it's very concise, and it's very straightforward, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you can get through with it pretty quickly. And I love that. I love the fact I can sit down, get exactly what I'm reading, and it's like very like very specific what I'm supposed to be doing, and I can just analyze and just get through it. I'm curious what your experience of reading that, Dell, with this, with reading comics and whatnot, like these old school 80s comic books again.
Well, I mean, just in terms of like you guys were talking about it before when you asked Tony, is it like did you read these all month to month or all at once or whatever? Like going through this at like 6 months, or 6 issues. Like I've started it yesterday and finished it today. Like just bam, 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 bam. And I can't like this story probably has even more gravity if you go over a 6 month span. Like you get like literal cliffhangers after each one.
Yeah,
and so I don't know. In that respect, I think that like drawing this story out, it becomes like an event as opposed to like, hey, we got to read these 6 issues and want to talk about it and get your thoughts on it. So there's so much more gravity to it, and but I enjoyed it. It is like you mentioned earlier, it was different in terms of how the layouts are in stuff from the past 20 years. It's much. It's I want to say it's more storytelling, but it's like the goal is we're here to tell some stories as opposed to. Not that it's like how it is now, but there's just look at this amazing artwork. Let's just stare at the artwork for the next half hour.
Right.
So it's just like I said, it's almost like a different medium sometimes. But I really enjoy it. Like being 47, I like connecting with stuff that reminds me of when I was 12, 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
So,
well,
but to be able to read it from this perspective now at this age and I don't know, I really enjoy it.
Well, and one of the things I think about modern comics today is that, and this is not necessarily a detriment, but it's just different, is that back then they weren't showing off as much back in the day, right? Like they're like, you know what, I don't need to do fancy layouts and whatever and show off how good I can draw. This is efficient, like as efficient as you can get storytelling. It's bam, 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 bam. It's not trying to make your eye have an anchor where like there's like one picture that's like kind of like centered around everything kind of where your eye goes to, and everything else is kind of like just a supplemental of the page. It's very much everything is concise to what the story needs to be, which is bam, 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 get you to the next page so you can go back to it and read it and get into it. So just for my final thoughts, I think I'll let you guys have final say on this, is that I think the MCU I think this story there might be building up towards a little bit with the whole Zemo thing. I thought Thunderbolts could be that. It doesn't sound like it's going to be, but to be honest, I think Zemo, an Avengers film with Zemo having like his own like team sounds perfect. And it totally reminds me of what they could do in this, and like him, recruiting different people, using different things. I think that'd be a fantastic movie, to be honest. And like, because I think there's a lot of great storytelling with freaking what's his name, Daniel Bruhl is just an amazing actor. God, I love Daniel Bruhl. Love him to death. So I think this is a great potential MCU story. It's not like deep centered in on like pushing the narrative forward of the MCU. It's just be a really awesome Avengers movie by itself, which I kind of miss, to be honest, because that's what Age of Ultron was. Yeah. And that's what the first Avengers was. And it's just now it's like Avengers is now like the event. It's not bad. It's just different. So anyway, any final thoughts before we head out?
I mean, you got the lineup, right? The lineup's still out there and it's active. It's all there. Right? And I don't know where, I'm not caught up, but I don't know where Zemo is in the MCU. I don't even know if he's alive.
Winter Soldier.
Oh, is that the last time we saw him?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so he's still.
Well, no, he was in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Sorry, I was thinking.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay,
sorry.
I did see that. Okay, he's got to have the uniform.
You're up to speed.
I want the costume.
Yeah. Oh God,
they teased
us. We're gonna rank. We rank costumes. This is what we should do at the end of the show: is rank the costumes. I think he's number one in this whole series, right?
Okay, that's fair. Okay.
I like
here we
Tiger
go.
Shark.
Yes.
Tiger Shark is solid. Okay, I like this. All right, great. Keep going.
Okay. And hold on, I gotta think.
How about this? We'll do this really quick. We'll do out of 10. All right, for both of you. Okay, I'll start first. We're going far right first. Tiger Shark, go. Just go with it. Out of 10.
Out of 10, he gets a 9.5. I just want to know what that's made out of.
Fair enough.
Oh yeah,
Tony?
yeah. I'm giving him. I like it. It's 10. I'm giving him a 10.
All right, Yellow Jacket. What are we going?
3.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not
Wow.
a fan.
Dell?
Yeah, it's 3, 4, something like that.
Okay, we'll put our homies, the Wrecking Crew, all together. We've got Thunderball. We have Thunderball, Pile Driver, Bulldozer, and Wrecker on the far left there. What's out of 10 for all 4 of the Wrecking Crew?
I like them all.
What's
Who
out of
is
10?
that?
What we get?
Bulldozer. Bulldozer's a 10.
Bulldozer. Yeah, Bulldozer. I'm sorry, Pile Driver, Bulldozer. Yeah, we're all a 10 out of 10 for you on that.
Yeah.
You said. All right, Dell. Wrecking Crew.
I don't know. I don't know. These guys are boilerplate looking bad guys to me. I don't know. I'll give them like a 5. I don't know.
How dare you?
Sorry,
How
I know. I'm sorry.
dare
I'm
you?
sorry. He's the one guy.
I
He
can
doesn't
see
even
what
have
you're
an
saying.
outfit. He's bare chested. He doesn't have anything going on there. He's
No,
just-
he's not. That's
Zorby Man?
Zorby. Zorbyman's different. He's not a part of the crew. He's
Absorbing
My bad,
man.
my bad.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, all
lousy.
right, but the other ones, still a 5.
Yeah, they look
All
like
right,
they,
that's fair. Yeah,
They missed the cut for the He-Man show.
whatever, dude. The Wrecker is. If I don't get a comic accurate Wrecker, I will rage. Like
All right.
I will. all right,
Wrecker
anyway.
is what? Purple mask.
purple. Yeah, purple mask. Come on,
Okay.
man.
Yeah. He was shirtless in the beginning of the issue, right?
He was.
put his
Yeah,
clothes
yeah.
on in the van. I thought that was funny. Yeah,
that
Wrecker's
was
great.
great.
Wrecker's great. He's got that crowbar.
Oh,
I'd
God,
say
I love the Wrecker.
I'm giving him a 9.
Fair enough. Okay. All right, we'll go to the Absorbing Man.
Yeah,
He's you
2.
know what I'll give him a solid 5 out of 6 or 5,
Okay.
6 because it's he doesn't need anything. He's got the record. He's got the wrecking ball. Titania.
She's got that 80s look. I like the
I love
knee-high.
this costume. I mean, I wish they'd cover up her boobs a little bit. I'm a little more of a prude myself, but
No, I'm good. I'm giving her a 10.
that's fair.
Right.
All right, that's fair. Dell, what's your take on the
I don't
Titania?
know. I
Titania.
give her a 6. A little bit
All
more
right.
modesty.
Man,
She
you
gets a
are
7.
You are
Damn.
rough, man. All
She's
right.
She's got those spikes. She got the
The
80s
spikes are
hair.
great. Yeah, she
Come
got
on.
the 80s hair. Come on, man. Titania is great. All right, Moonstone, right up above.
7.
I love this old school costume. It's great. I love this costume.
Yeah, the eyes. I don't know.
Dude, that's a 9. I love that. I was saying
Yeah,
score.
attaboy, Dell, attaboy.
Her and Tiger Shark, man, are the 2 winners here.
Yeah, Tiger Shark.
All right,
man.
all
That's
right.
just
The
such
Tiger
a
Shark's
cool
fantastic.
outfit.
It's so ridiculous, but
It's so dumb.
it's his name. It's his name.
And the
His
colors.
name is. I love the colors though. I like the costume.
Yeah.
The name is stupid. All right, Goliath to the left here.
He's one of those, like, it looks like you could make him yourself. Like, that's what a kid sits down and draws. Like in 6th grade, I'm gonna make a comic book, and that's your hero, right?
That's fair. That's fair. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. All right. Well, that's
So generic.
He's like
that was
Madden,
fun.
the creative player.
Yes.
He's like the base one. You're supposed to change it. You're not supposed to leave it at that. That's what they give you at
That's
the
what you
start.
Oh God, that's good. That's good. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. I will have you guys on again. We'll do another creative run like
It's
this
fun.
if you guys will have me or have you back on.
This was fun.
This is great. Tony, why don't you pip your stuff out? Where they find you, follow you, all that jazz.
Bottle Rocket everywhere. At Bottle Rocket, Instagram, Twitter.
You copyrighted that shit, man. You've got
I
that
know.
trademarked, right?
Not quite. Not quite.
You're almost
Not
got it.
quite.
Not the movie. The
No.
movie's great though, by the way.
No,
Big fan of
that's
that
where
movie.
the name came from.
I love that movie so much. I think that movie might be my favorite Wes Anderson movie still.
That's a bold statement.
I haven't seen all his movies. I've seen most of them.
You've only
I've
seen
all-
one.
Shut up. Actually, I hate Rushmore. I hate
One
that.
of one.
Oh, don't. Oh,
I'll say it.
Rushmore.
I'll say it right
Oh.
now. I don't like Rushmore. I think Rushmore's bad. I also Roll of Tenenbaums is overrated. I said it here.
What? I gotta go.
Yeah.
Good thing the stream's over.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But Bottle Rocket's my favorite, dude.
Okay.
Tell
all right, fair
Anthony I
enough.
love him. Or
Yeah.
no, is it Anthony? Yeah, no, he was like, no, yeah, it's Anthony, right? He said, "Tell Anthony I love him."
At the end
What?
of what?
No, at the end, it's in Bottle Rocket when he tells Inez.
Oh, it's Anthony.
Is Anthony? What's Luke? What's Luke? Luke's character is it Anthony? I thought his name was Anthony.
No, it's not Anthony. No, it's
no.
not.
Anthony was the kid who told him to tell him he loved him.
I can't remember.
Oh, he's like, tell him I love him. He's like, what? He's like, okay, man. He's like, yeah, it's really weird. Anthony told you he loved you.
Yeah, I remember that.
Was he translating
at the motel? That's right.
I love that. I do. I love Bottle Rocket so much. It's so good.
Oh, thank
it's
you.
an underrated movie. Thank you, man. All right, I love you too, Tony. You know. Hey, listen, I love you too. You know this.
All right, thanks.
All right. Anyway, all right, Del. Where can people find you? Del, I didn't realize the great things you do. For like, I as I followed you and like been reading all your tweets, I'm like, this guy's legit. Like, you like do some legit shit, bro.
Dude,
like
legit awesome Buffalo.
Stuff. No, I think it's effing amazing. Like, massive props to you, sir. Like, tell people what you do. Like, I'm like super impressed. Like, no bullshit. I think it's awesome.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I've worked with a great team, and I have an awesome community that like really plays a part in everything we do. But yeah, so you've heard of Bill's Mafia before? That's me. I coined that term 100 years ago, and suddenly, as my social media audience grew, people thought I knew what I was talking about when it came to football and comic books. So I get invited to stuff like this. But no, it's I have a company called 26 Shirts. It's the hat here. We sell different, Buffalo specific T-shirts every couple of. We actually put out like a couple a week now, and everything gives back to local families in need and some nonprofits and everything. And just we want to like.
Awesome.
People in Buffalo, we love our T-shirts, man. Maybe that's like how it is everywhere, but we love repping our city. We love repping what we love, and we love giving back. We love helping, and so just kind of smash those together and try and do some good in the process.
And obviously Buffalo is not like the biggest city in the world or anything, but the fact that you've utilized this small knit community or smaller city community and like showed how amazing like when people can gather and have a common cause to like work towards, like that's just rad, dude. Like I honestly, it's inspiring to me. Like it makes me think like I need to get off my A and like do some good stuff like for people and like not care about like the residuals. It's like it is like the nonprofit, like you said, like let's just get this out to the people that need it and like and also get some cool stuff in the process. Like it's a win-win, right? Like
yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate the kind words, and man, just keep doing what you love, man. You love comics. You've really introduced the medium to a lot of people, myself included. Like I started listening to the MCU fan show, and like this, what you're doing right now is specifically what has pulled me into like so many different things with comics in general. So I appreciate it, man. And
yes,
you're doing.
I'm very happy about this. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And so, yeah, I know I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
1,000 subs.
Please, I'm not. People don't like me that much, but if you like the video, if you get me there, it'd be awesome because I've got things I like to do. Yeah, the whole $20 a month. Give it to me. Give me that. But honestly, right now, I need it. I need to get to 1,000 subs. So road to 1,000. Yes, road to 1,000. I think I've talked about that. I appreciate that. Yes, my brother loves me. I love you too, Rick. I do love you as well. But no. Which I have that Rick. By the way, next probably thinking about not this month, but next month, Rick. Spider-Man Council. Count on it. So just keep your nights open on a Tuesday next month. But yeah. Well. So anyway. Yeah, you guys are coming back. I'll get you on. I'll drag you guys on. You're kicking or screaming. And yeah. Tony, thank you for reading more comments.
I put it in the wrong chat. How do I don't know how to put it in the regular chat. It's my first time.
I'll do it for you. It's all good, man.
We can't chat on here? What the heck?
I don't know how you guys can do it on here. So thank you, Andrew. That truly means a lot to me. And excellent for your birthday. There you go. Happy birthday, bro. So anyway, yeah, Chris wasn't able to make it tonight. An early show for you guys, East Coasters.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much. Thanks for
no. Seriously, I appreciate you guys coming on. So Chris isn't here, but I will say it. Read more comments.